Okay, so beyond the shape tools here, you're also probably going to want to use this guy. It is your pen tool, or P on your keyboard. So I'll select it and let's take a look at the pen tool. So the pen tool, when you just tap and release, it creates these corners, right? Just kind of like we had before with the square or the rectangle. If you click and drag, you get these handles, all right? If you click, drag, and hold down our modifier, which is Alt, you can break the handle and you can get these nice curves into corners, all right? So this is the technique we're going to use to create our line work. If at any point you want to stop, you can just hold down Control and just click off, and then you can kind of stop making your line and then continue on again. You could also come back and just deselect the tool, but that's kind of a little time consuming. So again, Control is a great way to make multiple lines. Once this is done, you can still take your node tool and you can modify these. So let's say I wanted this to go back to smooth, back to smooth. So how you work ultimately is up to you. In the beginning, I know some people like to just kind of block out a shape, and then when they're done, they like to come back and take the white node tool and select and kind of start tweaking, adding curves, and then pulling these handles to really get an interesting shape. All right, so again, how you work is kind of up to you. We'll look at some more advanced concepts. So when you have these, one of the options with the node tool is if you tap on a line, it'll add an additional anchor point, which comes in handy. If you don't want an anchor point, you can just select it and hit delete in your keyboard and it'll go away. All right, so you need to be able to use this tool to be able to create some lines. It's pretty easy, but it might take a little bit of practice. So the pen tool. You will notice with the pen tool, when you fill it with something, it's going to give you this weird looking shape. So there are times when you want to use this with the fill, and there are times you don't. All right, so it's up to you. Sometimes you want to fill, sometimes you don't. You have to realize that how this works is basically the computer is just looking at this shape and is looking at the first anchor point that you made or node that you made, and it is connecting that color to the last, and it's just filling it. All right, so if you do things like overlap, you're gonna get all kinds of weird shapes. So one thing that you might want to do is you might want to come back and you'll see like I already have a shape. If I take my pen tool and I hover over the last anchor point and tap it, it means it's now active. I can go back to that first anchor point, click on it, and it closes that shape off. All right, so you can always make shapes that way, or you can use a preset shape, start adding anchor points and moving them around. It doesn't really matter, you're gonna get the same result, all right? But the pen tool is nice for things like the lines that I made on the fish, or, let me delete that guy, these little gills, the smile line, the brow, right? If you want just lines, you're gonna wanna use that pen tool.